Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to talk about what you need to keep in your back pocket, okay, so to speak. Whenever you look at certain approaches, certain concepts, certain methods, interactions, devices, and the list goes on and on. And the thing you need to keep in your hip pocket all the time when you're looking at various, concepts is the issue of motives of what you're doing, how that's changing the perceptions of the dog as it relates to the human, and the motives that are in play with that. To understand why certain concepts may appear to work, and this is where, again, this is very deceiving. And so, if you look at concepts such as even, say, counter conditioning, and a lot of these trainers will talk about changing the emotional state of the dog. Again, I done a video about this issue about emotions. Honestly, it's more about the human's emotions. It's nothing to do with dogs' emotions. Dogs, their thinking processes are completely different that way. Even though you get certain reactions, but it's different. But here's the thing. You look at something like counter conditioning. Yes, you can get a dog to. You can create a different association. Dog to accept. Certain people, say, or situations based off the dog getting something. So the dog is thinking different, but again, it's thinking different based on the motives. Okay, so again, you never get away from this issue of motives, but the dog will accept. And again, it's the same thing when you look at other people, say the dog accepting certain people in the home. Okay, again, take that out of your back pocket and think about motives again. What are the motives? So the motives of the dog can be completely rotten to the core. A dog is, holding power. A dog's in control. And this is the thing that it's all about, is control. About motives. But you'll get a picture. But again, as with everything, just understand this. The truth, just like the X-Files, the truth is always out there. The truth is out there. And the truth will be seen in certain situations, interactions where it exposes the dog's real motives. Just understand, the motives have to be exposed. And this is what makes, my whole system of training is built on that, is making sure all the cards are on the table, is so that you can get a clear picture as to where you're standing. Because here's the thing, this is common sense. How do you ever expect to get to where you need to go if you don't even know where you're at to begin with? Okay, and this is the problem in the dog training world. There's so much that's about not looking at the motives of the dog. Basically, the whole mainstream dog training industry is not based off that. I mean, it's totally not. And so this is why there's so much confusion. There's so many problems, and the dogs get shoved off onto the dog because the majority of trainers, in fact, there's no trainers I know that look at this. I mean, there's a couple right now. Again, this is why I created my own association, was to start to really get people to start to look at this and approach training differently, so that it's going to be, you can control the outcome. Because here's the thing, training is a relational changing process. Okay, dogs are social relational animals, whether you want to recognize it or not. Okay, that's how everything filters through. And everything else is secondary, and oftentimes lots of things are not helpful to that process. It interferes in that process. It gets in the way of that process. And right at the starting gate, trainers are making assumptions, on a dog's state of mind. And oftentimes the motives are not cleaning up. So anyway, just something to think about. Whenever you think about any concepts, you have to take that out of your hip pocket. What are the motives? And then, again, go further. Well, how do I expose the motives to find out what's really going on? But then, how do I actually change the perceptions of the dog? I mean, ultimately, what you really want is to make sure relational change is really going to happen. So this is where the methodology needs to align. I mean, it has to be intentional that way. It has to hold true to what it is to make sure the motives of the dog clean up. So it's solid. Anyway, that's what my system's about. If you have any questions, I have lots of free videos on my YouTube channel. It really explains this stuff, breaks it down. There is a better way. to train dogs. It's, you know, and there's a system to follow, and you know, people assume. Okay, here's another assumption, that if you don't approach training the way that kind of the mainstream defines it, that they must be, you know, abusive to the dog and all these. No, it's not. It's about what's reasonable. Okay, yes, you get a reaction, but see, based off of looking at the relationship properly through the relational lens, you're able to sort it out. You can reconcile this stuff. It'll make sense because the dog comes into agreement with it, and that's when, you know, that's why you get very, very fast results, because it pushes all the foolishness out of the way, things that interfere in the process. So anyway, I encourage you can check out my YouTube channel. Lots of great videos for free. If you have any questions about training, the options, I have Skype option, distance option, which is a great option. I can help you that way. Or if you're in the Florida area, you know, one-on-one training is another option. So anyway, if you have any questions, contact me. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions about what training is, what the right approach is, and how do you get to a place where you actually know where you're going and getting on the right path. So thanks for watching.